This is a critical week ahead as the NHL Draft and free agency are just around the corner. But where exactly do the New York Islanders stand as we head into this critical point in the offseason? We'll discuss that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. We've got a busy show coming up today as we approach a pivotal point in the hockey calendar. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, just send us an email to lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. You can also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you can follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long during the offseason. That's hirings, firings, trade rumors, free agency, the draft, and anything else happening to your New York Islanders. We'll have it covered here on the Locked On Islanders podcast. It's always great to talk a little Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. So here we are, just a couple of days away from the NHL draft. We're in the buyout period starting, basically on Thursday, where teams will have a little window to buy out players whose contracts they want to get rid of. And, every day, as we've talked about some of the options for the Islanders. The two buyout candidates that have been discussed most often would be either Anders Lee or J.G. Pageau. I don't think Pageau makes a lot of sense as a buyout candidate. I think Lee would make more sense, but I also don't think Lou Lamoriello will do it. But we'll see if he uses that buyout. Generally, buyouts are a last resort. But the question in my mind right now is, where do the Islanders stand in relation to the rest of the league? And, the folks at The Athletic have been busy talking about position by position where each NHL team stands. And I found this interesting. I don't agree with everything that they say, but I found them to be, for the most part, very, very accurate. And again, kind of interesting to see where they fall. So they broke it down into center, wing, and defense so far. We'll see if they get to goaltending. But I wanted to concentrate. We know the Islanders are set in goal. We know Ilya Sorokin, Semyon Varlamov, that's your top two. Hogsberg's going to be the third guy going to start the season, barring injury, in Bridgeport. And then you probably have, either a Jakub Skarek or a Tristan Lennox, a couple of other guys fighting for that other spot in Bridgeport. But here we are. Let's start with centers. And you would think that the Islanders would rank better at center as far as the center versus wing up front position. And they have a glut of centers. I mean, realistically, the Islanders had 6 centers. In fact, at one point, they put together a line under Patrick Waugh last year of 3 centers, or 3 natural centers: Bo Horvat, Brock Nelson, and Matthew Barzal. you also have J.G. Pageau, you have Casey Cizikas, you have Kyle McLean. That's 6 guys who could easily play the center position or who are natural centers. Now, it's interesting the analysis that The Athletic gives. They basically say that basically Horvat and Nelson give them a solid top 2. Nelson gives you sort of low-end first-line production to the second line, but neither Horvat or Nelson are really viewed as a franchise player. So, having 2 solid, first-line type guys, definitely good, but no elite player there. Pageau is kind of borderline between a third and fourth liner, according to The Athletic. And then Casey Cizikas, who ended the season on the wing on the first line, again, it puts the Islanders, all of this analysis puts them right in the middle of the pack. So out of 32 NHL teams, the New York Islanders ended up 16th, right smack dab in the middle, as far as The Athletic was concerned when talking about centers. And I think that's about right. Again, you can only play 4 guys at center. They don't count Kyle McLean in here or don't mention him at the very least. I think McLean will be the 4th line center this coming season, so I think they certainly could have mentioned him here. And I still have the feeling that J.G. Pageau will not be a New York Islander on opening night this coming year. I just have that feeling that he is the most logical player for Lou Lamoriello to trade, given the cap hit, the status of this roster, the no trade clauses, the modified no trade clauses, the extra picks that, the extra second round pick that Lou Lamoriello acquired in the trade with Chicago. The depth at center, I think it kind of all adds up to that. But again, that is something we have to see. But Islanders kind of ranking smack dab in the middle, according to The Athletic. It wasn't as good on the wing. And I don't think that is a surprise to too many people. They include Matthew Barzal, who was a point-a-game player for the first time since his rookie year. But overall, the Islanders are kind of lacking on the wing. Anders Lee, turning 34 over the summer, kind of more of a third liner at this stage of his career. The Athletic said he's a fringe second liner. I think he's a third liner realistically. I don't know if you can count on Kyle Palmieri to stay healthy and give you another 30-goal season. But you're really, really lacking up front at this position. And according to the Athletics analysis, the Islanders are lacking a top-line winger, which I agree with 100%. Got to get somebody to play with Bo and Barzy. They're lacking another top 6 winger, which I agree with 100%. No offense to Hudson Fasching, and Casey Cizikas, and Pierre Engvall. Right now, none of those guys are legitimate top 6 wingers. And then a top 9 winger as well, according to The Athletic. That's a lot of lack, okay? That is just a lot of guys needed to reinforce. So out of 32 teams, The Athletic placed the Islanders 26th in the league on the wing. And I think if you look at the Islanders statistically, it does show. Goals for, 22nd in the league. That's the bottom third. Power play, 19th. That's below average. Shooting percentage, 18th, just a little below average. But you go to goals. You had the 330-goal guys in Nelson, Horvat, and Palmieri. And then you only had 2 guys with 20 goals. And that's Barzy with 23 and Anders Lee with 20. What else do you have? Engvall is a third liner at best. Holmstrom right now is a third liner. Cizikas, again, ideally a third or fourth liner. Clutterbuck, not going to add a lot of offense, probably not back. Gauthier, fourth liner. Fasching, third or fourth liner. Martin, probably not going to be back. Wallstrom, probably not in the team's plans. Yeah, you got Siplakov, you got Ishkakov if he stays. All of that is out there, but none of them can be considered proven NHL talents. 26th, you want to be a contending team. You want to be one of the better teams in the league. Okay, 16th, middle for centers. That's okay. But either center or wing should be higher than that, and certainly not in the bottom, just outside the bottom 5, which is where they are at 26 on the wing. Clearly, adding another top 6 winger, and realistically, as I've said every day, there's no 2 top 6 wingers should be on the Islanders' agenda. And then you probably also want to add a little physicality to the bottom 6, especially if you don't bring back Martin and or Clutterbuck. We'll see what Lou Lamoriello does, both in free agency, via trades, and in the draft. I get the feeling we're still going to see a trade on draft day rather than a pick in the first round. But again, we'll see what happens. We have got a lot more to discuss on today's show. We'll talk about the defense. Where did they rank in the Athletics analysis of all 32 NHL teams? We'll also continue our look at some players the Islanders could draft 20th overall with Cole Eiserman, who I think would be a great addition to the Islanders if he's still there at 20. And, oh yeah, for our Islanders birthday of the day, a big physical defenseman who later went on to work for the Islanders organization. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We've got all that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. And whether it's superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the Islanders did better on the blue line, and I don't think that's a surprise. I mean, no, the Islanders do not have an elite group of defensemen, but they do have some talent here. And the breakout year from Noah Dobson, 70 points, first Islander defenseman since Dennis Potvin to reach that, certainly a big part of this better ranking. And, they mentioned that Adam Pelech and Ryan Pollock now, because Dobson is in your top pair, they are in more appropriate roles for what they can do. Alexander Romanov did better last season. So they described the top 4 as above league average. The question is, assuming Scott Mayfield is healthy, who is on the third pair with Mayfield? That, I think, is going to be the big question on the blue line. I'm still hoping Samuel Bolduc can step in. That remains a possibility. Mike Riley, if they re-sign him. Sebastian Aho, I think, is at best a seventh defenseman because of his size and the limitations that puts on him. And he also is an unrestricted free agent. I don't think Aho is back. And then, what about Robert Bortuzzo? Unrestricted free agent. I think either Riley or Bortuzzo will be back. I'd be surprised if it's both, but we'll see what Lou Lamoriello ends up doing. So according to The Athletic, the Islanders are looking for a third pair defenseman. Could be one of those guys. Could be Bolduc, could be Aho, could be Riley, could be Bortuzzo. I think that Bolduc and Riley are the better two candidates out of the existing players. So you're looking for a left shot. Will the Islanders get a better puck-moving defenseman to fit there and maybe fit on the second power play unit? We'll see. I think it's a lower priority for the Islanders. But again, maybe there's someone in a trade that gets thrown in or a low-cost free agent that is signed. The lack of cap space limits the options here, obviously. However, it's good to see that the Islanders ranked 11th in the league, according to The Athletic, on the blue line. And oh, by the way, just to give you an idea, 10th, the New York Rangers. 9th was the Penguins, another division rival. 11th is the Islanders. 12th, the New Jersey Devils. So a lot of Metropolitan Division teams all kind of fighting in that area for a spot. And the Islanders just outside the top 10, but a solid rating on defense. I think they do have a solid group here, but Mayfield's got to stay healthy and return to form to get him to that 11th spot. One little note I wanted to discuss, there was an announcement that 2 Islanders prospects have been invited to the Team USA World Junior Summer Showcase. What is that? Well, this is basically so the scouts and the coaching staff can get a look at the prospects. And then when the World Juniors happen again in December, they have a better idea of who's out there and where they fit in on Team USA. So the 2 players, there are 46 players invited in total, and the 2 players who are Islanders prospects are Danny Nelson and Zach Schultz. Nelson, second-round pick of the Islanders a year ago, which was the first pick the Islanders had. He is at Notre Dame right now. Was a part of Team USA last year, had a goal and an assist in 7 games. And, they are looking to see if he's back. Had 9 goals and 23 points, which was third on the Fighting Irish in scoring. But, looks like he will be getting a bigger role in South Bend this coming year, and that he has a pretty good chance of once again being on Team USA come the winter. Meanwhile, for Zach Schultz, he was the Islanders' 6th-round pick last season. He had his freshman year at the University of Wisconsin. He did captain the USA under-18 team to a world championship in 2023. 2 goals, 6 points in 34 games with Wisconsin this year. I get the feeling Nelson makes the team. The question of Schultz, well, more of a long shot than Nelson, but bottom line, even just going to the summer showcase, playing against some of the top American-born players in that age group, overall, a positive experience for Schultz, and who knows, if he takes a step forward this season at Wisconsin and raises his game in his sophomore year, he too could find himself on Team USA at the World Juniors in the winter. So congratulations to the two of them on their selection, and we'll keep you up to date on whether or not they make the team. But obviously, that announcement will not be coming for several months. Hopefully, they both do well at the showcase. We have got a lot more to get to on today's show. We will continue our look at some players who the Islanders could pick 20th overall with Cole Eiserman. We'll have that, plus our Islanders birthday of the day coming up on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. And prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. They have killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and you get their lowest price guarantee. So Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Met fan, Yankee fan, check out all the bargains. My favorite feature on Game Time, you go on the Game Time app and you can get a panoramic view from the seat you're about to purchase before you actually buy it, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So we continue looking at some players the Islanders could take 20th overall. And today, winger Cole Eiserman, the native of Newburyport, Massachusetts, 6 foot, 197 pounds. He's already got good size. Been playing the last 2 seasons for the U.S. National Development Team. Won't turn 18 until August. He is 17 years old. 25 goals in 24 games this year, only 9 assists. He is kind of a Cy Young Award type guy. And for those of you who may not know, that's guys who have a lot more goals than assists, kind of rare in the NHL or in hockey, because every goal, there's 1 goal and up to 2 assists. But anyway, 34 points in 24 games this year. Last year, 32 games, 28 goals, 44 points. He's been a plus player both seasons that he has been with the team. And, the thing about Eiserman, he may be one of the best pure shooters in this draft. Scouts have compared him to Owen Tippett. He grades out well on pretty much everything. It's average or better for compete level hockey sense and skating, above average for puck skills, and his shot is considered elite, high end. He is a goal a game guy in juniors and is projected as a top 6 wing in the NHL. He just really, not the best passer, but one-on-one, when he has the puck, he'll shoot, he'll score, and, he is a shot-first kind of guy, which we know the Islanders certainly need. He's a strong skater, and he can set himself up and create a little time and space for himself. Like all great goal scorers, however, Eiserman is streaky, and that means that you're going to see him dominate for 3, 4, 5 games at a time. And then there are going to be times when he's kind of invisible. Scouts are hoping that he can be a little less selfish and a little less careless, a little more consistency, and not try to do too much. Sometimes he'll overhandle the puck and force shots from bad spots on the ice, try to be a little too perfect on his setup. So there are things he needs to work on. And the thing is, there are scouts who view him as a top 10 pick and scouts who say late first round, maybe even early second, because of that lack of consistency that you get from him. So, there is that sort of buzz that goes around arenas when he's playing. Anytime he has the puck, he should be outstanding on somebody's top power play unit once he's ready for the NHL. And I think his size, 6 feet, already 195 pounds, tells me that if he can work out some of these kinks in his game, he certainly is in a position to get to the NHL a little sooner than some of the smaller guys who need to add more weight in order to be effective against grown men. But again, we'll see. Is he available at 20? Do the Islanders still have a pick by the time we get to the 20th overall pick on Friday night? All of these things remain a mystery, but if he's available, the Islanders, Cole Eiserman could be a great pickup for this team because of what he could add to the Islanders organization. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. We're a day early here, but Thursday will be the 50th birthday of former Islanders defenseman Eric Cairns. Drafted originally by the Rangers in the third round back in 1992, made his NHL debut with the Rangers in 96-97, but joined the Islanders for the 98-99 season and stayed with the team through the 2003-2004 campaign. He was an enforcer, never had a full season with the Islanders, 5 full seasons, never under 100 penalty minutes. Later played for the Panthers and Penguins before ending his career after the 06-07 season. Eric Cairns, 6'5", 220. You didn't want to mess with him. Played in 457 career NHL games, 10 goals, 42 points, 1,182 penalty minutes, add 28 penalty minutes in 16 career playoff games, 13 of those with the Islanders, the other 3 with that other team who plays at Madison Square Garden. One of his better games with the Islanders, how about April 6, 2002, Islanders hosting the Capitals at the Old Barn, the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. The goalies, Chris Osgood for the Isles, Olaf Kolzig for the Caps. And in this game, with the score tied 1-1 late in the first period, Eric Cairns, our Islanders' birthday of the day, scores his second goal of the year. Alexei Yashin and Roman Hammerlick with the assists. That made it 2-1 Isles. Isles end up winning the game by a score of 5-4. They actually led 5-1 before 3 third period goals by the Caps made it a lot closer. For our Islanders' birthday of the day, Eric Cairns, he scored on his only shot, played 15 minutes and 8 seconds, and did not take a penalty in this game. Cairns, by the way, still working for the Islanders organization. He has been a part of the organization for years now. And I did get to interview him from my book, Ice Wars, a really nice guy who shared some great stories. So happy birthday to Eric Cairns, the Big 5-0. He is our Islanders' birthday of the day. Want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Everydayers, tomorrow on the show, we'll again profile another player the Islanders could pick 20th overall in the draft on Friday. Plus, we'll have all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. Look, the closer we get to Friday, the more we are going to see some movement, some trades, some qualifying offers made. We'll have it all covered for you here on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.